SMU comes in at number 16 in the coaches' preseason poll. Are they too high, too low? Are some of their opponents too high or too low? Let's talk about it today on Locked On SMU.
You are Locked On SMU, your daily podcast on the SMU Mustangs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Locked On SMU, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every single day. My name's Grayson Singleton. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Give me a follow, Gray_Singleton2 on X or Twitter. Would love to interact with all of you there, as well as in the YouTube comments. I like to go back through the comments and respond to as many as I can get to. So go ahead, hit us up in the comments, hit me up on Twitter. There it is down below. And remember, subscribe to this channel so we can continue to grow this SMU community. Coming up on the show today, there's some mistakes that SMU made last year that I think they've got to correct if they want to be better this year. Also, there was, at the same time, a really encouraging trend that really proves that SMU is a well-coached team. I'll tell you about that later on in the show. Let's start with this. Let me start with the coaches' preseason poll. SMU comes in at number 16. Too high, too low? Let us know in the comments down below what you think. For my money, 16 was the range where I thought they would be. 15 to 20 is where I was going to go. And the reason I went 15 to 20 and not closer to the 12-10 mark where SMU ended the season is strictly because of so much turnover. And I think that people on the outside are going to look at this situation and see all the turnover, all the names that left, the beat down at Happy Valley that ended last year, and think, okay, top 20 team, but we got to wait and see if they're going to be a top 12, top 10 team. It makes perfect sense because you think about how you ended the year looking completely incompetent against Penn State. There's no other way to slice that. You made mistakes galore. You were thoroughly outclassed. You looked like you didn't belong on the field. Now, does that overshadow what you accomplished last year? I don't think so. I think what you accomplished last year, getting to that point, is outstanding in and of itself. But the last time all of us saw SMU play, let's face it, they looked like they didn't belong. Now, you couple that with the fact that top 2 pass rushers, gone. Top 2 receivers, gone. Top running back, top rusher, gone. Top 2 tacklers also have departed. So when you look at everything that these sorts of polls are based off of, especially in the preseason, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense. As a matter of fact, SMU, if you put that whole formula together, is at the top of the range where you otherwise would predict them to be. Now, if you want to say that SMU is being slept on, now we got to go prove more people wrong, great. If you want to look at it that way of that just builds more fire and we're being disrespected and all that, cool. Here's how I choose to look at it. Year over year, you have to prove something. Because what do we know about the world of sports? You have to do it every single year because people run on recency bias. What is the last thing you gave me? And quite frankly, the last thing SMU gave us, even though no doubt they were coming off of an undefeated conference slate, the last thing SMU gave us was losing at the buzzer to Clemson and getting their doors blown off against Penn State. And that's what everybody's going to remember. Not the fact that you beat Duke by a point. Not the fact that you beat ranked Louisville and beat ranked Pitt last year. That's what they're going to remember. And in sports, every single year, your mindset has to be renewed. It has to be a rejuvenated, I've got to go prove it. Year in and year out and year in and year out. And this coaching's poll says the same. You did it last year, great. You lost a hell of a lot of your talent. Go prove it again. And then in 2026, unless SMU wins the Natty and has a crazy transfer portal class. It has some freshmen and underclassmen that performed well in 2025 to where you think, ooh, that's going to be top of the line players in 2026. We'll be doing this whole song and dance 12 months from now. Because in sports, you have to go continue to prove it. And I think SMU has the coaching staff and has the players to go prove it again. I think they have enough hungry dudes who haven't proved all that they want to prove. By the way, the Kevin Jennings of the world, Jordan Hudson being elevated, Logan Parr, PJ Williams, they're trying to get to the next level. Cam Robertson showing he's worthy of an ACC starting pass rusher. Alex Kilgore proving, hey, it is my time. Isaiah Wacobia, I guess he's going to try to further elevate his NFL draft stock. There are the right dudes here that have enough still left to prove. There's 2 running backs that left their institutions because of limited opportunities that are looking to prove that they were deserving of extended opportunities and looking to make a name for themselves in DFW's college. That's why I think SMU has the ingredients to do so. I think they have the ingredients. They've got the players. They've got the staff. We already know Rhett Lashley's a fiery dude who says whatever the hell he wants to say, regardless of if his messaging can get lost in the weeds or twisted. I think that sets a good tone to a team that says we still got stuff to prove. I think it's a perfect melding of personality versus situation. So I think 16 is good. I think 16 is an excellent spot for SMU, particularly, by the way, when you look at the teams that are just ahead of them. Ole Miss, I think they're a little bit highly rated there. New quarterback, lost a ton on defense. Michigan, I was shocked they were that high. Again, not coming off of a good year, true freshman quarterback, unlike Ole Miss. Ole Miss, Austin Simmons has been in the program for now 3 years. Michigan's got a guy fresh out of high school. South Carolina, cool. Illinois, cool. Arizona State, I thought was a little bit high. And then the top 10 is Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson. Oh, God. When I first saw that list, did anybody when they first saw that list and they see Clemson at 6 think, oh, they just gave Clemson even more to play for? Because I think Clemson's going to be really good. Do I think they're going to be really good to where SMU can't beat them? Absolutely not. I don't think that. But I think they're going to be really good. To me, they were a top 5 team coming in to the season. And then after Clemson at 7, you've got Oregon, Alabama, LSU, and then Miami, which, okay. Is Carson Beck going to duplicate Cam Ward? But you see where this lands, right? Yesterday we talked about the opportunity for Kevin Jennings, if he wants some Heisman candidacy, to make moments against marquee opponents. Clemson is number 6 in the coaches poll. Miami is number 10. Talk about opportunities aplenty. By the way, Louisville was the 3rd team out, so the de facto 28. Baylor, who is also on SMU's schedule, was 30, and then TCU's a little bit further down. Pretty solid schedule. It's a pretty solid schedule. And I think the AP poll, the initial preseason one, is going to have some similarity to this. I think everything works in SMU's favor here because they get to play the dudes that are in front of them. They get to play some of the dudes that are behind them, but still are in consideration as a top 35 team in the country. And you still have the opportunity to go prove it and elevate yourself because that's what you have to do year over year. So anything that can enforce that prove it mindset, I am all in favor for. So SMU at 16, I think it's cool. I like SMU at 16 right now, heading into the 2025 campaign. Coming up next, they are going into the 2025 year, and hopefully this won't follow them. We'll talk about it next year on Locked On SMU. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big-time purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also going to be able to build wealth. things like getting food to go after my workouts and after a long day of work, or just all the subscriptions that I have, that always is going to add up to more than you expect and continue to drain your account in ways that you can't even keep up with. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money, which it can definitely help you with that. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Back here on Locked On SMU, I'm Grayson Singleton. And since you've made it this far, you know what? Go ahead, scroll down just a little bit, subscribe to this channel so we can continue to grow this community. And by the way, turn on those notifications too, because you're going to get notified every time we drop new episodes, which, by the way, they drop at noon every single Monday through Friday. Check out the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Those drop at 8 a.m. every single day, both those times Central, by the way. All right, what is SMU need to leave in 2024? And I know that is a question that we always ask around New Year's time, like, oh, we're going to leave this in whatever, right? And I know we're in August, but football New Year's right around the corner. This is a fan-inspired thought because I was going through the message boards on theponyexpress.com. I went through the message boards and I saw an interesting comment to one of the writers that covers SMU down there in Dallas, highlighting all the good things that have happened in fall camp practices. And I saw one comment that said to the effect of, now, if we could just leave the drops and other little mistakes, we're going to be really good. I said, interesting. That's an interesting thought. So I went and looked and I was like, okay, well, what is he talking about? On what kind of mistakes? Now, I couldn't find a number exactly on the drops, even though I do remember there were plenty. You also don't have a number on the amount of inaccurate passes that Kevin Jennings threw. They were a lot. There were times when he was inaccurate. And we talked about that the other day with Pro Football Focus's assessment of the team going into the 2025 season, that Kevin Jennings, 55% of his passes were charted as inaccurate. That's a high rate. But I think that's going to come down. Here's what I did find, and this shocked me. SMU was 11-3 last season. I have never seen an 11-3 team that had a negative turnover differential. Never seen it. Never seen it. -2. SMU forced 22 turnovers last year. SMU turned the ball over 24 times. Like, isn't that nuts? 11-3 and a -2 turnover differential. That's insane to me. Now, obviously, the playoff game against Penn State had a lot to do with it. I mean, you look at the Penn State game, even though this doesn't count, they turned the ball over on downs in the red zone, threw an interception in the red zone. That's enough of a start right there. So imagine how much better this team could be if the turnover differential was higher. Let's do this exercise for a second. I just thought of this. What are the best turnover differentials in college football last year? Let's see if I can pull this up real fast. Best turnover margin from 2024 on average. Clemson is up there at number 3. Plus 1.2 on average. Then there's Notre Dame. Colorado's kind of in here. Cool. Arizona State at plus 1. Indiana, college football playoff team. Just trying to keep it here with the Power 5 as I'm doing this on the fly. Alabama's in here. Texas is in here. Ohio State is in here. What does all this say? Turnover differential, if you're on the plus side, can get you to places. By the way, there are a litany of teams in here that were nowhere close, nowhere close to the college football playoff. As a matter of fact, how far down do we have to go to get to SMU? SMU in terms of, according to team rankings, SMU in turnover differential on average was minus 0.3. That is 88th in the country. The teams around them, you might ask, they are tied with Western Kentucky, UCLA, surprisingly LSU, Georgia Southern, East Carolina, and North Carolina. Just below them at minus 0.4 is Wake Forest, Utah State, Virginia, Georgia State, Wyoming, a terrible Auburn team, Arizona, who disappointed. And just above them at 0.02 is USC, Florida International, Maryland, Liberty, a terrible Cincinnati team, Toledo, and Nevada. Here's the point. What SMU did last year should be considered a very fortunate anomaly. Especially with the schedule you're going to play this year, when you've got to go up against Clemson and Miami and probably an improved Louisville team, you probably don't want to repeat that again. Not if you hope to get back to the college football playoff. These teams that make up the tougher schedule, Baylor and TCU, not to be discounted either, the teams that make up this tougher schedule are going to take better advantage of that. And with a defense in turnover like it is right now, turning over with leaders and whatnot, you don't want to put them in disadvantageous situations because of your offensive mistakes. That cannot happen. So when I look at something like that and I see -2 on the turnover differential and you still made the college football playoff, I say thank your lucky stars, and I say figure it out. Figure it out. And a lot of that, by the way, I think is going to iron itself out with the fact that Kevin Jennings is going to be better. Kevin Jennings last year in 11 games started through 12 picks. That's not something I think he will replicate in 2025. I don't think he's going to throw more interceptions than games he started. I don't think that's going to be the case. And then you add in some fumbles. And I also think this too. I also think the defense will take away the ball more. I think that safety duo that's in another year, Ahmad Moses and Isaiah Wacobia, I think they're due for more interceptions this year because of how good they are. So I think the turnover total can go down and the turnovers forced can go up, which will give you that cushion and that barrier that you need to be great. But I don't think you can go into this season and say, let's do this again. I just don't. I don't think it's smart. I don't think that that's something you should want to do again. Again, Indiana's turnover margin was 15. Clemson's is 16. But that is your barometer. You see Clemson, the team that is widely viewed as the team to beat in the ACC, that's your barometer. 16 on the turnover margin. They were 18 better than SMU. And SMU lost to them by 3 at the Horn. How much better do you think they can be if they cut that down? I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to give any sort of definitive projection, but I'm telling you, you cut down on the mistakes and force a little bit more. We know what can happen when you do that. So if they can clean that up, I think they're looking really good for 2025. Coming up next, there was a trend that was really good. And I'm going to praise somebody at the end of this show when we come back here on Locked On SMU. Let's be honest. It's time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape ginger and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, there's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off of it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and even stay energized. You remember you guys at the golf course, you place all the bets on who's going to make this shot or how many it's going to take you to get past this hole. That's what golf's about. Good times with good people and some pretty good flavors too. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without having to chase down a bev cart. If you go to 5-Hour Energy today, 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with any other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots at 5hourenergy.com today. Let's do it. One more segment here on Locked On SMU. So I told you the trend that SMU will not want to duplicate. Let me tell you the one that they should duplicate, or at least attempt to duplicate in 2025. This one's going to shock you. Now, before I tell you what that is, I have a metric for how I view, I don't want to say a metric. I have a mental formula for how I view your team in terms of being well coached or poorly coached. And today we are going to praise Casey Woods, the offensive coordinator. Situational football is so huge. Situational football can help you overcome certain mistakes, like what we talked about in the last segment. So where does Casey Woods come into this? And what's the trend that SMU needs to continue? Well, number one was third downs. SMU converted 45% of its third downs last year. Now, is that a great percentage? No. Is it a good one that you can absolutely live with? 1,000%. Here's why. If you're converting all those third downs and you're getting into opposing teams' territory with a leg that you've got with your kicker, you're going to be okay. So I think SMU set up pretty well with that number. I don't think they're a team that needs to convert 2/3 of their third downs. Number one, that's pretty unrealistic. But they don't need to even convert 55. If they did, fantastic. That's great. A lot of that will have to do with your success on first and second down and how you can remain multidimensional on your offense and not have the defense being able to pin their ears back and get after your quarterback, Kevin Jennings. The other piece of situational football that SMU really succeeded at last year was in the red zone. And this is going to shock you if you didn't notice it just from watching the game. SMU during the entire season scored on 50 of 60 red zone trips. When they got into the red zone, they averaged 5 points per trip. Outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. Think about it this way. Essentially, you're going touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal. Now, I know it's not that simple, but touchdown, field goal, 10 points, divided by 2 trips, 5. I think when I put it like that, you're thinking, oh, wait, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, it is. And look at the games they won, by the way. Look at some of these games. The Florida State game, they went to the red zone 5 times, scored 28 points, almost an average of 6 points. There was one drive they didn't score, and they missed a field goal. The Louisville game, 4 for 4 scoring in the red zone, 24 points, 6 points per trip to the red zone, 34-27 win. The game against Duke, you won 28-27. They kept Duke in that game. Why? Because they went to the red zone 4 times and came out with only 14 points. But you were able to sneak by. Okay, next week, Pittsburgh, 48-25 win. 5 trips into the red zone, 31 points, 6 points per red zone trip. Absolutely, absolutely excellent. In the Clemson game, now the part of the Clemson game was that SMU couldn't get to the red zone, but how does SMU come back? 4 red zone trips, 24 points. As a matter of fact, SMU only turned the ball over on downs or threw an interception in the red zone a combined 4 times out of 60 attempts. You want to know how you get to the college football playoff? You want to know how you're within seconds of winning an ACC championship potentially? When you have a turnover margin that is -2, you capitalize situationally. That's how you know a team is buttoned up, and that's how you know a team is really, really well coached. Because in the red zone, space gets condensed because you have the back of the end zone as that third defender. Red zone defense is something everybody works on the last day of practice heading into a game. Red zone is about execution. Execution in a much tighter space to work. And SMU did that. I mean, look at the game against the 2 games they lost. Penn State got to the red zone 4 times, scored 3 points. BYU, the final game of the Preston Stone experience, got to the red zone 5 times, 6 points. Turned the ball over on downs once, fumbled it away, and threw a pick. Yikes. Yikes. And then the other 2 times, you kicked 2 field goals. Yikes. That is a problem. That is a major, major problem. But you look at some of the games you won. The TCU game, 3 red zone trips, 21 points, scored 3 touchdowns. Beautiful. Florida State, 5 red zone trips, 4 touchdowns scored. You won that game handily. Pitt won it by 23 points, 5 red zone trips, 4 touchdowns. You get my point here. You get my point. That's what's got to carry over into next year. Because if you carry over that sort of situational execution, you can hang with Clemson and you can certainly beat Miami and Louisville. You can't have a game like Penn State where you score 3 points on 4 trips. Can't happen. Cannot happen. That leaves you so little wiggle room for any sort of mistakes that you might make. So if you want to give yourself any kind of leeway to make mistakes, take advantage of the opportunities that you give yourself. And if SMU can do that, they'll be just fine. We talked about a trend that they need to leave in 2024, but there's always something when you go to the new year that you did right the previous year that you should continue to take with you into that year and to the next year and to the next year. And red zone efficiency and red zone aptitude is one of those things. That's the thing for SMU to hold on to going into next year. That'll do it for Locked On SMU here on a Tuesday. I'm Grayson Singleton. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. Remember to check out for your second listen, Locked On's The Portal with Brian Smith. He's got all the information of the world of college football. We will talk to you tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody. Like and subscribe. Give me a follow. Gray_Singleton2 on X. We'll see you.